here to see you?
Oh, this is later, I had Mark.
Hey, Jan, I went out last night.
How you doing?
Hi.
Point.
Been better.
Star Hop.
Been better?
That's good. Well, I'm starting to
Yeah.
Okay, well, it'll go over. Well, still,
His 16
Monday I went
and
to,
I'll use my.
gave me a muscle
I
relax.
know more than now than
See,
when
they
I
have
was.
Body
No,
good.
sir.
Yeah. Go down into your shoulder. right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess
And
it
take
is.
one in your.
Yeah, yeah,
Everybody did okay.
exactly.
Yeah, I'm just right here. Where you going? Watch it now. Down into my shoulder, down into my arm.
They still have a good program. And it was really doing a good job here. So many kids.
Yeah, I put on.
But yeah,
There's a lot of worry about it.
right now they're
And after that, 10 years after that, she didn't know.
I probably took a class.
I hope it's not getting nervous.
Yeah, they just take time, I guess. I don't know.
So after 2 weeks, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I agree. I've been doing this for a month.
Oh,
I gotta get an MRI.
we do that, don't we?
Great brain, but I gotta get an
Hey, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate a lot of that.
Well,
Man, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But
The nice thing is that the board, I recognize my last meeting, the board members say, hey, we have stepped up. I think we should, as a board, start looking at what part of the meetings.
well, they're on budget negotiations now. So you gotta finalize the budget, you gotta talk to them, hey, give me some money.
Oh, man. No, we are, we'll see. I mean,
You're their star now. I'll take that. Makes the school look good. And
yeah, I mean, we got a lot of momentum. There's
Yeah.
a lot of coverage, a lot of help. So,
Very, very
I'll get up and I'll do a little like, thank you contest. And that was good for like heart.
Alright, I will just let you do the video first then.
hey, good to see you again. Yep, you too.
blow whistles. Teach health. Make the same money.
But we don't do things because they are easy, we do things because they are hard.
Yeah.
And we make it harder on ourselves just for the kicks and giggles.
All right, well, I guess I'll get started. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, I see some new faces out here tonight, so thanks for coming. We've got a number of things to talk about tonight, and I want to kind of highlight our calendar coming up. We, of course, are all in hibernation right now. It's too cold outside. Here tomorrow, I guess, is supposed to be only the 20s with a -1 wind chill, so it's not really observing season for some of us. So we don't have any Star Watch this month, but we do have a nice presentation tonight by Tom Lugar, who is going to be talking about telescopes and, you know, which ones are good to be looking at as a beginner, and how to use them to view the night sky. And we also have coming up in the coming months a number of openings that we're going to probably have to fill in the next few weeks. So we're still thinking about some topics here And I always ask, if you have something that you would like to talk about, we would love to have new people come up to speak. If there's something in particular that you would like to hear and are not sure, how to do something, and you'd like to learn more about it, we can do our best to try to tailor some of the nights towards your interests. We don't want to just keep rolling forward and not listen to our members. And so please give us ideas. Later on in the year, we got another one like that. We do have a scheduled one, which is going to be a really good one, so please put it in your calendars. Not the other one, none of the other ones won't be good. But we're actually bringing this guy in. He's a friend of mine from Penn State University. He's coming all the way down from main campus. His name is Dr. Chris Palma, and he is their Penn State's senior astronomy lecturer. So if you are going to take an astronomy course at Penn State, you will have him at some point in your studies.
Has he been here before?
No. That was Neil Brandt, who was here just a few weeks ago. Dr. Palma's research, he started off as a radio astronomer and was doing research for to earn his doctorate. But he's primarily interested at this point in outreach and in education. So he is very good at explaining things to all audiences at all levels. So it's really, really worth coming out. He's going to be discussing a really interesting topic to me. Rather than talk all about science, he's going to be discussing how do we do science? What's the approach a scientist comes in with when they have a problem that they're trying to solve? And this is the side, I think, of science that a lot of people don't really see. You see the results, right? You see the cool pictures. But we don't always know that going into it. And sometimes Dr. Palma is going to talk about what you find out is actually by accident. And his main claim to fame, he'll be discussing, I don't want to steal his thunder, his main claim to fame was actually something just like that, where he wasn't necessarily looking for something, but because of his training as a scientist, he was able to identify it as something out of the normal, and it got his attention. So I really think it's going to be a good discussion. Once again, that is on March 8th, if you want to put it in your calendars. By March, we're going to be starting to go back outside, coming out of our hibernation, and we're going to be having our monthly Star Watches, weather pending, and once again, we have them coming in 2 days, I should say, on the month, but by Thursday or Wednesday of the week, we'll let you know which one we've chosen based on the weather conditions. So hopefully, if you find out something tonight that you're interested in, you can come out and see it for real at one of our Star Watches. Okay. I think that's everything I have to talk about. Any questions? All right, Rob, you were up.
Well, let's see, as I just set this up.
I have your thing on the side of it.
Oh, look at that, it's already set
Done.
up. I have to start out with a thank you. How many of you have heard the news that I've been bugging you about for a while? Fantastic. For those of you who don't know, I just won $100,000 from Farmers Insurance to upgrade our planetarium in Franklin Valley. And I have to thank you all. I have a lot of people to thank, and I haven't even gotten around to it because, even though I've won this, my actual job of teaching the kids hasn't stopped. So I haven't been able to get around to that, but I wanted to thank you guys because all of you voted, all of you helped out, all of you spread the word, and that's what won the contest. It was not my vision, it was the votes. In fact, they said the first 3 days, if any of you were voting, we were crashing the system. Like, people voting for me were crashing the system, which was just amazing. But yeah, so in the future, so the plans are that I'm going to take that $100,000 and move to Italy. I mean, we're going to Italy. The check doesn't fit in the ATM. What we're going to do is we're going to rip out all the folded down seats. We're going to put the new carpeting in. We're going to get brand new seats. We're going to get a brand new lighting system. We're going to get a sound system. Then we're going to start a summer STEM camp for all the kiddos in the district. So it's exciting. And what I'd like to do once it's all together, I'd like to maybe have a meeting there. We'll talk. Maybe just have a star party there or something, so that you guys can see what your time and effort got us. Yeah, thank you. Really, I don't know what else to say. I always think of like 14 things in my mind, and I only remember 2. So let me skip ahead here and move on to the constellations. So, as far as planets go, you've got a bunch. You've got 2 or 3 of them in the west after sunset, and you've got one of them coming up in the east in the morning. I'm trying to split the time here. Now, what I have this set for is December 1st for sunset, which is about 4:40 p.m. Can you guys hear that?
Better.
I kind of need to let it get a little darker. So I'm going to go to about 5:30, and as you can see, Mercury that was down here is kind of gone. So technically, though, you can see Mercury a little bit in the beginning of the month, but I'm not planning on looking for it. You need very clear skies, very clear horizon, and maybe. By the way, if you have any questions, just raise your hand and I'll pause it and call in. That's fine. Binoculars to find. So I wouldn't worry about it. But the focus here is on Venus and Mars. And so I'm going to put it to about 5:30. It should be dark enough by then. And at 5:30, in the beginning of the month, Venus is about 17 degrees above the horizon, about 20, so about 2/5 widths. And Mars is about 10 degrees higher than that, at 30 degrees. So you'll see these two out there. Now Venus is going to be super bright, as usual. Venus will be the first object, other than the moon, but the first object that you'll be able to see as the sun goes down and as the dusk fades away. And so look for Venus. It's the first thing you're going to find. Mars is going to be not one of the last, but one of the later ones. And it's up here in Capricornus. Now, let's take a look and see what happens throughout the month. By the way, quick aside, those planets will set, let's see, Venus will set a little bit after 7, and Mars will set a little after 9. So you've got about 2 hours in between them, but you've got some time to see it. Okay? But I would get out before 6:30 at the latest. But let's see what happens throughout the month. So I'm just going to keep moving this forward in steps. And you notice Mars is moving away from Capricornus. Venus is moving toward it. And they're actually getting a little bit closer. You can ignore that comet. I think that's a data glitch in Starry Night. But Venus and Mars are actually getting closer and closer throughout the month. You could also ignore Neptune, although if you have a telescope, you might want to look at it, but you can't see it with your naked eye. And then on the 31st, Venus and Mars are actually pretty close together. But actually, now that I'm here, Neptune and Mars are pretty close together. In fact, let's see, they are about 1/4 of a degree apart. That might be a really good one to look at in a telescope. Let's see. Yeah, that's the closest on December 31st. So New Year's Eve, you can go out there. Let's see. Let's take a look at it a little bit darker. Okay, so. Those won't be close enough to get in one telescope. Maybe. One telescope view, probably. I don't know. Ask Lane. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway. What's that?
You ever played with Field of View?
I've done it a little bit, but
I love it. Try it.
yeah. I think I had the settings in once and then they disappeared somehow.
For the beginner though, which is what I try to focus on, you've got Venus and Mars up there in the southwest, okay? And actually by the end of the month, Venus doesn't set until about 8 o'clock, which gives it even more time to be looked at. So, anyway, yeah.
So if you saw that bright thing piercing through the fog tonight, that was Venus. I was very impressed with it tonight.
So those are the sunset planets. Let me switch around. I'm going to look to the east, okay, and then I'm going to switch it to sunrise.
Learned something new this month.
Went a little bit far because in the winter the sun actually rises in the southeast. But to find Jupiter in the morning, you got to get out after 3:30 in the morning, toward the beginning of the month, and after 2 a.m. By the end of the month. So really what you're doing is you're looking for the very bright object in that direction. In that direction, in the east or southeast. So let me just go back a little bit here. Now, technically, let me go back to the first. In the beginning of the month at sunrise, Jupiter's going to be up here. But let's go back to like 6 a.m. That's usually a pretty good time. What you'll notice is that throughout the month, you'll notice Jupiter gets higher and higher in the sky as I move every day forward. Okay? And actually, by the 31st, or 30th or 31st, Saturn is actually starting to make its new appearance. Now, I wouldn't go out looking for it yet because I would wait until like mid-January. But technically at 6:30 at the end of December, Saturn will rise in the morning. You know, I wouldn't look for it quite yet. So anyway, those
I did check for you. The 31st with Neptune and Mars is easily seen with one eyepiece.
All right.
Yeah, even with a 35 millimeter eyepiece with all 3 telescopes, no problem. And even, let's see, 25, you can still get it with one of mine.
What's it, half a degree?
What did you say it was?
Quarter degree.
A quarter, that's close.
Yeah.
That's a half moon width, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There you
yeah,
go.
easily visible.
Yeah.
I sit correct. Thank you.
Those are the planets for the month. Remember, again, in the morning, it's pretty much Jupiter. And then around sunset, at night, if you look to the southwest, you will see Venus and Mars getting closer together throughout the month. So let's take a quick talk about, or have a quick talk about the events for the month. Okay? So let's start at the beginning of the month, December 1st. Not much going on.
Let's see if I can skip ahead.
Anywhere from 6 to 8 degrees away from a planet, whether it's Venus or Mars. It's pretty patient on the side right now.
Yeah.
But it's there, and the moon is also pretty darn close. In fact, why don't I center on Aldebaran? There you go. I'm going to center on that. And let's take a look at what happens throughout this night. So let me just pass time by. So what you'll...
Let me pause it. Did anybody see the occultation of Aldebaran? No? Anybody knew it was happening? All right, we'll skip ahead because it already happened. But the idea is that the moon actually...
Show it.
All right.
So,
Notice around 5:40 the moon is in over here. But then as time goes by, the moon actually crosses in front of those stars, which aren't all that bright, so we don't usually care about them being occulted. Which, by the way, this is a lunar occultation of Aldebaran. What's going to happen is the moon's going to slowly pass in front of Aldebaran. Why is this important? Well, Aldebaran's a bright star, so that makes this easy to see. It's also pretty red, which is pretty cool too. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Now, this won't be perfectly representative, but near my home, what we'll find is right around 11:07. In fact, that's exactly the same as Washington, D.C. Aldebaran's going to disappear behind the dark part of the moon. If you look there, that's not quite lit up yet. That's because it's still a waxing gibbous. Or, sorry, yeah, waxing gibbous. And then what's going to happen is the moon's going to pass in front, and then it's going to reappear right about, now it's going to appear on the sunlit side, So it might be a little tough to see, but it'll appear, looks like about 12:23, which according to my notes, 12:21 for Washington DC, which it's just really neat to see. Now, I would suggest using a telescope trained on Aldebaran. If you have a tracking telescope, that's great. If not, it's not that hard to sort of keep that all in one area, especially if you have a wide field of view. But that is what's happening on the night of the 12th, morning of the 13th. It should be a really cool one to see. It's way up there high in the sky. Excuse me, getting over something.
Still happening too.
Way up high in the sky, easy to see, easy star to find, go for it. I do have in the show notes a link to where if you're not in my area, when you can see this. Okay? Then on the night of the 13th, so let's move ahead, the night of the 13th, on the morning of the 14th, you see a full moon right above Orion, which makes it a pretty neat thing to see. Now it kind of drowns out Orion's stars, but it's still pretty neat up there. Then on the 13th and the 14th is the Geminid meteor shower, which normally would be awesome, except this guy right here, light pollution. The moon puts a lot of light pollution out there for us, which is not good. It drowns out the weaker meteors, the ones that you don't really see, but you still should see some of the best and brightest out there if you do go out and dress in layers. But yeah, give it a shot. I would just suggest not looking at the full moon. Try to get away from it, since that's where the less light pollution will be, and then you're not damaging your night vision with the full moon. So give it a shot. You might see something. So then, let's see, so that's the 13th and 14th. And, oh, there we go. What you'll notice is that night after night then, if you look, you'll see that the moon will move across Cancer, across Leo, and moving toward Jupiter, okay? And throughout this process, it's getting a little thinner and thinner every single night. And then you'll notice that on December 22nd, it will be pretty close to Jupiter. Now, I did forget, back one day, the 21st, that is December 21st, that is the winter solstice. That's when we have the most amount of night in the northern hemisphere, most hours of nighttime and the least number of hours of daytime. Pretty much there's a better astronomical definition, but that's a practical definition. Longest night of the year. Also, hence why we have celebrations around this time. Now we're finally going to get a little more daytime, so let's celebrate we're getting over the hump. But anyway, 22nd is Moon and Jupiter getting close together. Just look southeast after 2 a.m. If you look around 2 a.m., they'll be close to the horizon, but as you wait and it gets closer to sunrise, they get higher and higher in the sky. And also, you also have Spica here, one of the bright stars, or the brightest star in Virgo, kind of making a line out of those three. And yeah, Jupiter's only 4 degrees down and to the left, and as the sun rises, if you're really good, you might be able to catch Saturn down there. I don't think you will be. But anyway, if you take a look at the morning sky, at let's say 6:15 every morning or so, every night the moon's going to get lower and lower and thinner until the 29th, which is when we have a new moon and thus the darkest skies. And that's pretty much it for the month. Excuse me. So I apologize for that. That's it for December for that. Let me just take a minute and talk about the constellations. So as far as the constellations go, let's go to mid-December, and let's go to a little after sunset. Let's go like 5:30 or so, 5:45, and let's look directly above us. What you're going to be able to see directly above us after sunset, maybe, in fact, let's go to 6 o'clock. You'll see Pegasus, the great square of Pegasus, and Andromeda over here. If you wait till later in the night, you'll notice some other things popping into sight, like Perseus, which has a nice double cluster. I believe that's M34. Ask Dave, he knows the numbers off the top of his head. But Perseus is there, and so is Auriga, okay? And if you wait until midnight, you'll get to see Auriga being straight up above you with Gemini down below that. And if you wait till the morning, then you get to see some of the spring constellations like Leo and Ursa Major. Well, Ursa Major is a North Circumpolar, but you can see its legs, which just so happen to appear in the spring. But let's talk about, let's go back to a little after sunset, okay? And let's look to the west, and you should still be able to catch Cygnus the Swan, Aquila the Eagle, and Lyra the Harp, the summer triangle in the night sky, with Delphinus over here. So they're the spring constellations. They're setting. That means spring is way done. Technically, we're still in the fall, and that's why the fall constellations are pretty much right above us in the south after the sun sets. But then, let's start talking about these winter constellations. So you're not really going to be able to get much out of the winter constellations until about 8 o'clock. Now, 8 o'clock, Orion is already well risen, okay? And you can use his belt stars to help you out. Now, if you take his belt stars and make a little line from the bottom to the top, and then keep going, you reach the bright star Aldebaran up here, which we already talked about as getting occulted on the night of the 12th. Don't forget. Okay. And then if you go a little bit higher up, you get to the Pleiades up there. Also, if you follow those in the opposite direction, the belt stars, following down, you'll see Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which is part of Canis Major. Let me move those up a little bit so you can see them. And from there, you can see 6 stars that make a nice circle in the sky. You've got, let's start with Aldebaran and Taurus. If you move down, you can see Rigel, in one of the brightest stars in Orion. Down and to the left, you see Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, also brightest star in Canis Major. Up and to the left, and you find Procyon, the brightest star in Canis Minor, which is the 2 stars that look like a dog. Move up, and you'll find Pollux and Castor, the twin stars, or at least 2 stars about the same brightness in Gemini. And then up and to the right, you find Capella, which is the brightest star in Auriga, and then come back down to Aldebaran. And that's the winter tour. So yeah, with that, that's pretty much the night sky for the month of December. I would encourage you to go to skymaps.com, get a sky map from there, print it off, get you outside. And also I like Skyview Free is a new app that I enjoy. Actually, it's not new, but it works out pretty well. I even use it with my 3-year-old, so it'll help for the beginner. And yeah, I'd like to wish you happy holidays and very clear dark skies for the month of December. Hi everybody, and welcome to Observing with Webb for November of 2016. With you on?
Oh. Do you guys have any questions about any of that stuff going on?
You've done 40 of these in a row.
Have
And only now did I learn how to flip myself.
Okay, we go right into the deep sky objects for December. And we're going to look at Cetus, Taurus. Really not the full constellation because we talked about the Pleiades that Robin mentioned. Eridanus, the river. Lacerta, the lizard. And Camelopardalis, at least. And that's ones that you don't really hear in terms of constellations. You don't see them. They're very obscure, especially Lacerta. And this is a sky map. This one's off of Orion Telescope site. And they're free. The other one's sky maps. But I'm looking at what's going to be available about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It's going to be in the south. It's going to be high. So that's why I picked Cetus. We're going to look at objects in that. And then we have right above Lacerta, okay, Camelopardalis. And Taurus, of course,
is rising in the east. It's up there pretty good, but we're going to talk about the Pleiades too. Okay, first Cetus M77. It's a nice galaxy, fairly bright, 8.9 magnitude. Now this is going to be a telescopic object, not one you're going to look at with the binoculars. Okay, and it's about 7.1 to 6 arc minutes, but fairly bright. It's a nice object for a small telescope even. In fact, the ones I'm showing are going to be for binoculars or small telescopes. You need a big Daub, 18 inches or anything for this. Now, this is fairly easy to find because you look at a delta Cetus, and it's not more than a degree from that. So it's fairly easy to locate when you're star hopping. Now, the M45, the Pleiades, and we're talking about the talk I'm going to give about observing and using binoculars or telescopes. If you haven't observed, other than just looking with the naked eyes, just grab a pair of binoculars, even if they're 7x35s or 7x50s, you've got to look at the Pleiades, and that's up now in the east, because it's going to be striking. It's probably, if you want to really get hooked on observing, this is a cluster. They were formed together, and they're spreading apart. And this is the view you would normally have in a telescope, so it's really a binocular object. In a telescope, it's going to cut down the field. You're not going to see all the objects. It's called the Seven Sisters. You can maybe make out 6 of them or more if you're in a dark side site. And it's the Subaru car logo. And the reason for that is in Japanese, Subaru means 7 sisters. So they put the little stars on there on the logo. But it's really the best view of binoculars. And I really encourage you to just go and say, hey, it's cold out. You can grab a pair of binoculars, go out there and just get it on there, and you're going to be amazed what you can see. If you have a pair of 10x50s or 15x70 telescopes, binoculars like I'll show you, it's really going to be very dramatic. So if you haven't really looked through binoculars, anything in the night sky, this is one to really look at. Eridanus, the river, there's a planetary called Cleopatra's Eye, and it's about 9.8 magnitude. This is another telescopic object, not a binocular object. And it has a 11 magnitude central star, which you can pick up with a telescope at about 150 to 200 power. And it's kind of a dramatic, bright planetary. Usually planetaries are going to be fairly faint, and usually the central star you really can't see unless you have a large aperture scope, but this one, it actually fits only 11 magnitudes, so you can pick up the central star. Okay, where this is located, not far from Orion, and we're looking at Gamma, Eridanus, and then you're just going to go a little bit 4 degrees to the left, and then about a degree up, and you're going to see it, your star hopping. And the lizard, probably not many people, if you're not really into the constellations, this is a very obscure one, but they do have a couple nice clusters for binoculars. And NGC 7253